On daily quizzes, I don't put the easiest questions that are possible because that would not be helpful to you if I put all the easiest questions. You'd feel confident and then bomb the test. That would be a terrible, you're just setting you up for disaster. So I give you like mediocre and some harder ones. Sometimes I give you questions that I know you might not be able to do and probably everyone's going to get it wrong, but after you do the question, you start, you learn how to do it, then you can repeat it the next time. Sometimes it takes me asking the same question 3 times till it starts getting done correctly in the class, right? So if you're someone who's like, I'm struggling, come in at lunch, ask the questions. Be like, I don't know how to do word ones. Well, okay, cool. I'll make up random words and we will practice putting the letters together, not putting the letters together, starting with this, ending with this. These are together, these are together at the front. And we just practice all the ways until you don't make mistakes anymore. Right? Okay. So the first one says a football stadium has 9 gates, 4 on the north side, 5 on the south side. How many ways can you enter and leave the stadium if you must enter through a south side and exit through the same gate? So we enter through a south side. How many south side gates are there? 5. And means we multiply. And we have to exit through the same gate we entered. So how many exit options do we have? 1, whatever the heck we entered through, right? So we have 5. Here are my 5 entrances. I can go through this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I decide to go through the 5th one. So how many can I exit through? 1. The 5th one, 1 option. If I went through the 4th one, I still only have 1 option. I have to exit through the 4th. If I went through the 3rd, I have to exit through the 3rd. 2nd, I have to exit through the 2nd, right? So yes, I had 5 originally, but whatever one I entered through, I now have to go find again when I go to leave and exit through it. So I only have 1 option to exit. So it's 5. And how many ways can we enter through a north gate and then exit through any other gate than the one you entered? So north gate, there are 4. And now I entered through 1 north gate. So I've gotten rid of 1 option, correct? To exit through. So do I still have 9 to exit through? Or do I only have 8 now? 8. Because I used up 1, the one I entered through. So I can enter through 4, but I entered through it, I have to exit through any other gate than the one I entered through. So I only have 8 gates left. So 32. Okay, when you get the word mammal, the very first thing I told you guys to do, which most people didn't do, so you didn't listen to me, is to rewrite the word. Now remember, I don't come up with tactics of things for you to do just because it takes you more work to do it. I do it because I know that you're going to make mistakes where you're going to make mistakes, and I've come up with ways to hopefully stop you making those mistakes, right? So when I say rewrite the word, it's not for giggles. It's because when you rewrite the word and it looks stupid, so when you're like M, A, M, N, A, L, the moment I start stacking letters, I'm like, right, I need to divide by factorials. If the word, and I've talked about this with other people, if the word is this, P, O, 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 M, M, L, L, E, Z, Z, Z. I don't care what word you ask me to do, I know I'm immediately going to do this. I'm going to put what on the bottom? 4 factorial for the O's, 2 factorial for the N's, 2 factorial for the L's, 3 factorial for the Z's, and then I'm like, okay, cool, now I'm going to actually read the question. Like, I don't even need to read the question. I know I'm going to immediately go write those, so do not forget them, because the top first biggest error is forgetting to divide by your factorials. And do I say that just because willy-nilly? No, I've taught this since 2012. Usually 3 to 4 times a year. It's been a lot. So I know where you're going to oopsie. Like, honestly, I know before you even know you're going to oopsie. So what's the best way to do that? Rewrite the letters, please. And when you're stacking them, hopefully that's a hint like, why the heck am I stacking? Ah, the denominator needs to have those things. Okay? So I know my denominator before, I didn't even read this. My denominator is going to have a 3 factorial and a 2 factorial. And if I have a TID3 and I'm not using the fraction button, I better have that in brackets. My numerator has to be in brackets and my denominator has to be in brackets in order for a TID3 to know that that is a fraction. That is the only way it knows fractions exist, by bracketing your numerator, dividing by bracketing your denominator. If not, it will do BEDMAS rules. So it will go 6 factorial divided by 3 factorial, take that answer and times it by 2 factorial. Is that what you want it to do? No. So if you're someone who is blessed with a calculator that is not a TID3, you should take advantage of it because you're blessed with that. Be lucky. You're lucky you have one of those. Please use the fraction button. Then you don't need any brackets and you won't make oopsies. Okay? If you have a TI-83, no big deal. You will learn everyone learns their calculators and what they exactly need to do. And you'll just do what you need to do, which means bracket the top, bracket the bottom, right? Not a big deal. Okay. So, the vowels must be together. How many vowels are there? 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Vowels must be together, 2 and 1. Do you want to know what? This question is done better than if the vowels just must be at the front. Because you guys get so used to them being together and multiplying by that extra number that when I say the vowels have to be at the front, you will multiply by the extra number and you will get it wrong. So make sure you're reading. If the vowels must be at the front or the vowels must be at the back, you just literally fill it in and you don't times it by the 4 or the 5 or the 7 or however many cases there are, right? Because there are no cases. It's at the front or it's at the back. That's it. Those are the only options you have. Okay, so make sure you read thoroughly because people will do this one better than if I say the vowels must be at the front because you guys will still move them. You see how that might be something you'll do? Okay. So we have A and A. We treat them like they're different. So I have 2, then 1. Then I have 4 letters left, 3, 2, 1. If it was vowels together at the front, I would be done. But it doesn't say vowels together at the front. It says vowels together. So how many cases are there? 5. There's always one more than the hooked together number because you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spots where those vowels could go, times 5. If you're someone who's just writing the number and you have no idea why you're writing the number and sometimes you put the right number and sometimes you put the wrong number, that is a hint that you should come in and ask me why. Because that means you don't understand why we're putting the 5. And if you don't understand why we're putting the 5, you're going to get these questions wrong, which would stink, correct? So if you don't understand why that 5 goes there, you're a person who should come in and say, Mrs. Lepp, I don't know why we do the number we do. And I will sit there and explain it to you one-on-one, and I promise you will know why by the time you leave. That is what you need to do, okay? Not be scared of me. I literally will help you. I will not judge you ever. I promise. So, 2 factorial, 5 factorial, over 3 factorial, 2 factorial. And oopsies. I wish I would have went to my teacher and said, I don't know how to do this, because it would have made my life easier. You have to cancel those off, or could you just type them in and it will cancel it off for you? Absolutely. Okay, I'm canceling it off so I can do the math in my head. So I get 120 divided by 6, which is 20. Now, the M's, all the M's, and I had to explain this to you because it's not written very well, all the M's cannot be together. Well, if all the M's cannot be together, we do total words of mammals minus the M's together, and then the cases that are left over are the M's not together. Remember with words when we do this, these can't be together. We do total minus them together, and then the leftover cases are the ways they're not together. So, mammals no restrictions would be 6 letters, 6 factorial, divided by every time 3 factorial, 2 factorial. And some people will say to me, well, Mrs. Lepp, when do I not divide by 3 factorial, 2 factorial? Never. You always divide by it. So if you have 3 M's and 2 A's, boom, I'm writing that even before I do the top. Honestly, I do my denominator before I do my top. Anytime you have identical things, if we have identical flags, boom, they're written on the bottom. If I had 4 red flags that are identical, 2 blue, 3 green, I'd have 4 factorial, 2 factorial, 3 factorial for the identical flags. Because the same as having identical letters, right? Now I have to subtract the M's together. There are 3 of them. So I hook the 3 together. I'm going to write 3 factorial, 2 factorial on the bottom so I don't forget it. I have 3 M's for this blank, 2, then 1, 3, 2, 1. And if they were together at the front, I would be done, but they're not, so I have to still multiply by what? 4. Because it's always one more than after they're together. There's 4 cases of places it could be. So I get 3 factorial, 4 factorial, over 3 factorial, 2 factorial, which is 12. For this answer. Sorry, this is 12. This is going to be 720 divided by 120. What's this one? I don't even want to do it. I'm going to mess it up. Yeah, what's the total? How many mammal words are there out of mammal? 60? Yep, I think the answer is 48. Okay. I expect this one to be very wrong. If you got it right, yay on you. I didn't actually teach you one word that's weird like this, so I expect you to have got it wrong, just so you know. Hence why these are not for marks, right? If you get something wrong on a quiz, should you just get it wrong and then fix it and then not leave a star for yourself to know you got it wrong when you did it? No, you should star it or highlight it or something on your daily quizzes so that when you're studying, you're going back to these daily quizzes, and the starred ones you're for sure looking back over because you got it wrong the first time you did it, right? Hopefully you won't. Hopefully by then when you look back, you're like, oh wow, how did I get this wrong? I now know how to do these. Cool. But you star your daily quizzes and stuff like that, so you can go back and know what you got wrong, or you highlight it, right? So your eyes drawn to it. Now here it says we have Anna, Bob, Cleo, Dina, and Eric are seated in a row. In how many ways can Anna and Cleo must sit together? Does it say on the left? Does it say on the right? No, so we're going to do cases, right? But there's 5 of them. Are there any that look exactly the same? Are there identical people here? No. So do I need a denominator? No, the denominator comes into account when I have identical objects. Like say I had 3 math textbooks that are exactly the same, 4 science textbooks, and 2 social textbooks. Those are identical objects. I would have 4 factorial, 3 factorial, 2 factorial on the bottom denominator. That's how you get rid of the identical. Okay, every time there's identical, you have a denominator. No identical people. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I sit Anna and Cleo together. How many options do I have for here? 2 and 1. And then 3, 2, 1. Now please, paying attention. That 2 and 1 take into account how I can rearrange Anna and Cleo, correct? That's what that 2 and 1 specify. The 3, 2, and 1 specify how I can rearrange Dina, Eric, and Bob, right? That's that 3, 2, 1. So these numbers take into account how I can rearrange the people in those spots. Then I times by 4, because this 4 takes into account how I can move this one group throughout it. And I would get 4 different cases of moving the groups. So I move the people first, then I move the groups. We agree? Most people can get this one right. Most people are on this one, and it's 48, and they're all over it. But they don't move that same, moving the people, then the groups. You don't move that same option to the next one. But that's what you're going to do. You're going to move the people, then you're going to move the groups. It's the same thing. We just have more than 2 groups, right? Remember we had one group here that's grouped together, and then we disperse them throughout the singles, correct? This next one, we're actually going to have 2 groups together, and that makes it a little bit more difficult. So here we have Anna and Cleo must sit together. Cool. We sit Anna and Cleo together. So we have 2, then 1. That's arranging Anna and Cleo. That's it. Then we have Dina and Eric sitting together. 2, then 1. And then we have Bob. Good old Bob. He's there. What have I done so far? Yeah.
Organize the people.
Organize the people. That's all I've done. So people tell me the answer's 4. The answer 4 would be on your diploma. It's wrong. Because they'll stop there. All you've done so far is you've rearranged Dina and Eric and Anna and Cleo. That's it. This would be the correct answer if they said Anna and Cleo must sit together at the front. Dina and Eric must sit together in the middle, and Bob has to be on the far right. That would be the answer to it. But did it say that? Did it say where the specific groups need to sit? No. So now we actually have to rearrange the groups. This is the seated positions where they can sit, right? Okay, I need 5, I'm not even going to ask for 5 volunteers. Can I use you, and you? Can you come stand up here? There's 5. Okay. Some of you are going to be Anna and Cleo, so enjoy yourself. Stand and you don't get to keep your names. You're new babies. Okay, you are Anna. You are Bob. Remember who you are. You are Cleo. There is no Cleo. You are Dina. Eric. Okay, who are you?
Anna.
Don't forget this. Okay, now, Anna and Cleo have to stand together over there. So, Anna and Cleo. Okay, cool. Then Dina and Eric. Get over here, Bob. Okay. That's how we just kind of set them up randomly at the beginning. Did it say they have to be in this order? No. Okay. So Anna and Cleo could stand this way, or that way. How many ways is that? 2, hence the 2-1 multiplication. Okay? Dina and Eric. I don't even remember who's who anymore. But 2 ways, right? And then Bob. That's it. Okay, Bob's got 1 way. Bob's your uncle. Bob's here. Okay. So everyone understands that movement, right? But have we moved the groups at all? Or did we move the people within the groups? That's all we did, correct? Now in this first group, here, do I have to have Anna and Cleo? No. Could these guys go there? Could Bob? So how many options do I have for that first group setting now? 3. Okay, cool. I'm making you guys stay there. Okay, now I have your group and your group left to go here. So how many options do I have for this group? 2. I'm going to mess with the system. Bob's going to come here. You guys are going to shift. Because Bob can go there. Bob doesn't have to stand at the end, does he? But now that we've sat Anna and Cleo there, which was 3 options, we sat Bob here, we only have how many options for this blank? 1. So the first part, that 2, 1, 2, 1, 1 thing, we're just rearranging the people within the groups. After that, we're literally arranging the groups. Does that make a little more sense? Thank you, volunteers. Don't know how to run. That's not you. Okay. So. So we have 2, 1, 2, 1, and 1. We agree? 2, 1, 2, 1, and 1? Yes? What's going to go in this blank then? 3, then?
2.
Then? So this is arranging the people. They're great volunteers, no one complains. And this is rearranging just those groups. Does that make more sense? Now why do we have a multiplication dot in here and not a plus sign? Do I need to organize the people and the groups, or do I need to organize the people or the groups? And, so I'm going to multiply, okay? So the 2, 1, 2, 1, 1 just rearranges the people, and most people do that right. And then they stop. But you still have to rearrange the groups, because it didn't say that Anna and Cleo have to be on the left, Dina and Eric have to be in the middle, and Bob on the end, right? So does that make a little more sense as to why that one is the way it is? I expect no one got it right. Someone did, yay. Woohoo. Yeah.
You just do like times 6, because I said that in the first one. I just said Anna and Leo can go in like 3 different spots. And you know, I don't know, I just kind of did them like individually. And I somehow came out to times 6. And it worked.
I would say it was a guess, unless you can explain it to me more on I did it this way and it randomly worked. But if you can explain it to me, it might be completely correct. As of right now, I would say a guess, and it just lucked out. But if you explain it to me after this, like if you can come up with your way, I can tell you if it could be completely true. There's not always one way to do math. So if you show it to me after, I can probably, it might be completely good. So it would be 24. And then we have Anna and Cleo must not sit together. So how do we do not together? Not together in vowels, not together sitting, not together blah, blah, blah. We do?
Take the total and subtract the ones that they are together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, there was the boy and girl thing where we talked about boys and girls can't sit together. When it's like that and you have the exact same amount and boys and girls can't sit together, you can do like the cases where the boys and girls can't, like, because then there's no case where the boys and girls can be together. When it's like 2 or 3 objects, and sometimes 2 can be together and 1 can't, then you have to do this, where it's like they can't be together. So Anna and Cleo can't sit together. So I would do 5 factorial for the total ways that I could sit all 5 people. So that's 120 different ways that I can rearrange 5 people, if you didn't know this. When you go to a movie with 4 other people, there's 5 ways, there's 120 different ways you guys could sit in those 5 chairs. Try it out sometime. See if you can come up with thought. I'm just kidding. That would be weird. They'd be like, sit down. Excuse me, we're just trying to see if we can get to the 120 different ways that all 5 of us can sit in different order. They would be like nerds, they would say. So 120, and then we have to put them together. Anna and Cleo together. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sit them together. 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And then I have to do what? Times by 4. So I get 48, and so that's 72. Why am I not dividing by anything? Yeah, no repetition, no identical people here, right? You can tell them apart. I threw like an identical twin thing on there. You could like, I've never seen it. I hope they don't do it. Because you could fight and be like, but if their hair's cut different, it doesn't matter if they're identical, I can tell them apart. They'd have to be they're identical in every single way. Which I don't think they would touch that. All right. The Canadian postal system consists of 6 characters. The first, third, and fifth are characters, are letters, and the other characters are digits. No postal code in Canada can begin with D, F, I, O, Q, or U, but repeated letters are allowed and any digit is allowed. How many postal codes are possible in Canada? So for this one, I can't start with what? D, F, so 6 letters. So how many do I have left? 20. How many digits? Then?
26,
Then?
26,
Then? And you get a really large number. What is it?
13,520,000. Yep, that's it.
Oh.
That's it,
And done. Add some zeros. I get it. I was like, and nothing. Cool. All right. The next one says the first letter of the postal code represents the province in Ontario. All postal codes start with K, L, M, N, P, and that's it. So we have 5 options for the first one. Then, 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 then. Answer?
3,380,000.
The next one says the first digit is 0, which is not actually false. Did you know that? Did you know that the first digit is 0 if it's a region that's rural and 1 if it's like a city? Like that's why we're T1S, blah, blah, blah. And where I was from, I was S0N because I was rural. I didn't even know that till I started doing this question. I was like, wow, that is real. Fun fact, you can always tell people what their second digit is if they tell you where they're from. It's either 1 or 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the first digit is a 0 if its region is rural. How many rural postal codes are possible? So this would be one option. It's Ontario, so this is 5. And then, what do we get?
338,000.
Which makes sense because we literally just took a 10 off of there, so we dropped a 0 from the previous answer, right? You multiply by 10, you just get a 0. All right, we're going to flip to our notes. And we're not going to lose this, because we're going to keep it, but also because we're going to go through 5 to 7 tomorrow, at the very beginning of class. Here. So we're starting combinations today, finishing combinations tomorrow. I'm posting your assignment. You have an assignment for every unit. It is all diploma questions that have been released to me. So it's practice diploma questions, which is what you need before you write a test so that you're prepared for them. The catch on the hand-in is it's not during class, it's completely outside of class. Good thing about that is it's not just you writing it as a test kind of inside, it's an assignment. So you can talk to anyone you want. You can look at any single set of notes you have. You can ask me any question. Okay? The hand-in is for marks. The only way you get full marks is if you show your work. If you just circle answers or you say A, B, C, you copied off someone. That's what you did. You need to show some work, okay? If it's just a letter or something like that, that's a problem. I post the hand-in in Google Classroom. I'm going to post it. You can't finish the whole thing because you haven't learned everything, but I want to give it to you early, so if you see questions with words or whatever, you can do them. Do them ahead of time. If you want to print the assignment and write on it, go ahead. If you want to just look off your screen and do your answers on a piece of sheet of paper, like loose leaf, that's totally fine with me too. You don't have to print it if you don't want to. Okay? Does that make sense? No work shown, no mark. Even if it's right. Even if it's A and A is right, cool. Isaac got it right and you copied off. Like that's all it means. And if you somehow did it in your head and got A, cool. Show some work. Don't do it in your head. All right? If not, I'm assuming. Because honestly, the assignment itself does not, if you just copy off someone, that's not the reason why I'm doing the assignment. The assignment is for you to learn to do practice diploma questions. If your assignment is a bomber, say it's bad, and you learn from it, and your unit test is higher, your unit test replaced your assignment. Your unit test is not done with people, or me, or notes. Your unit test is done with you. So if you bomb, say, your assignment, your unit test can replace it. Because it's a unit test without notes and everything. It is harder to do your unit test than it is to do your assignment, right? There's got to be a place where you can make oopsies and still make up for it. So your unit test can replace your assignment if it's better. Okay? But that doesn't mean bomb your unit assignment. If you don't hand in your unit assignment, you get a 0, and I will not replace it. Because that's just lazy. Yes. Sorry? No, you don't just do one question. That's still, no. No. No, no loopholes. You have to do the whole assignment. You just made me fix your loophole. Do one question. Who is he? Seriously, who invited you here? All right. Combinations, permutations. Permutation order matters. So if you hear the word arranging or you're lining something up, right? It is a permutation because the moment you start lining something up, you're giving it an order. If you're putting posters on a wall, let's say, there's an order to the posters. You can see the difference. They're on a wall. You're putting something on a wall. That's a permutation. So the moment you start putting blanks, the fundamental counting principle, you are making a permutation. So what do I have? I have people say, that is for sure a combination, and then they'll put blanks. I'm like, you're saying it's a combination, which is true, and then you're doing a permutation to it, right? Because if you're putting a blank, and you're putting another blank, and you're putting another blank, you're giving it an order. I don't know why I was holding the chair like that. So you're putting something here, you're putting something here, you're putting something here in blanks, you're arranging it, it's permutation. So please, when you say it's a combination and you're right, don't go put blanks. Because that, you're just saying it's a combination, you're right, but I'm going to do it as a permutation because I'm a rebel. Like, that's what you're saying. That's a Tegan thing. All right. So, what's the difference between throwing toys, 3 toys in a bag, or lining them up? So here are my 3 toys. They're very exciting. They're highlighters. Crappiest toys out there. But anyways, I have 3 toys. I take them. I put them in a bag. How many ways can I do that? 1. And if you say there's 7, I don't, like it's the same thing, right? I'm taking all 3 toys and putting them in a bag. We agree? It's like taking out 3 books from the library. Is there a different way? If you're just taking 3 books out of the library and you can take all 3 out, how many ways can that happen? 1. If you think there's more, it's 1. You walk up to your librarian. You hand them 3 books. They go ping, ping, ping. They hand you the 3 books back. Put them in your backpack. Put your backpack on. You walk out. Like, it doesn't matter if she goes ping, 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 or ping, 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 or ping. Like, you're taking the book, your backpack, and you're walking off, right? So that is a what? Combination or permutation? Combination. Order doesn't matter. I take all 3 of them, okay, right? One way. How I represent that is I have 3 objects. It's a combination. I'm picking 3 objects. So this C means order doesn't matter. So we're going to practice typing that in our calculator. It's in the same spot you find the factorial symbol. So you're going to go 3, math, over to probability. And which one is C? 3. So the only ones we're using this unit are 2, 3, and 4. So we're using 3. I have 3 objects, and I choose all 3 of them to put in a bag. Oh, there's one way. So it's combination, order doesn't matter, those 3, right? But what if I'm lining the 3 toys up? I'm arranging the 3 toys. I'm lining them up on the table for you to see. Because that's exciting. Okay, so in the first spot, how many toys do I have options for? 3. I leave 1. There's the pink one. Cool. Now the next one I have, I'm going to leave the yellow one. And then the last one I have, 1. Now does that look different than if I do this? Yeah, now I've lost all my reasons. This? What about that? I think it's different. I can't remember it. But there's differences, right? So if I'm arranging them or ordering them, that would be the same as saying, this is a 1, 3p3. I have 3 objects. I'm ordering them. 3, because permutation and order are literally synonyms. They mean the same thing. Permutation and order are synonyms for each other. So I go 3p3 and I get what? 6. Now, I could also, because I'm not repeating, if I'm repeating, I cannot use the p. If I can repeat the object, I cannot use the p. But if I can use fundamental counting principle and I actually can't repeat the object, it's the same thing. So this one I had 3, this one I had 2, this one I had 1, which is still 6. These are exactly the same thing. So if you started an object and go down by 1, you can use the p. So another example would be if I have 20 toys and I'm choosing 3 and then I'm going to arrange them. Right? I have 20 toys, I'm going to pick 3 out and I'm going to arrange them. That's a permutation. Okay, I'm going to arrange 3 toys out of 20. So how would I do that? I would go 20p3, or I could go, hey, I have 3 toy spots, correct? How many toys did I put in the first one? 20. Then type these in. If you don't believe me, type them in. 20p3, type in 20 times 19 times 18. So you get 6,840 for both of these. They are the same. If I had an unlimited amount of each of the toys, I would go 20, 20, 20, right? Like I could do that. Then I can't use the P. If you have repetition, you cannot use the P. Like, the license plates, let's say, where I was allowed to repeat the letters. So it's 26, 26, 26. Can't use P. If I couldn't reuse the letters and it was 26, 25, 24, then I could go 26 P3. Because I'm picking 3 out of the 26. So you can only use the permutation, the little p, if you're not repeating. Okay? Now, this is the formula. The NCR formula is this. The NPR formula is that without the r factorial. So it's just n factorial over n minus r. It's on your formula sheet, which is still need to print for you, and I'm terrible and have it. So the only difference is that r factorial in the bottom. Do you see that? All right. When have you seen a division of a factorial before this moment? When did we divide by factorial? Anyone remember? We just did it. Yep. Anyone? Bueller?
Factorial notation, so.
Yeah. When we had factorial notation, we would go like 2 factorial or 3 factorial or 5 factorial. But why did we put them in the denominator? When did we divide by factorials? What happened that we had to divide by factorials? Repetition. When we had repetition, when they were different, we would have to divide by the factorials. So when we had like 2 A's, I had to divide by 2 factorial because it got rid of the cases where they weren't different. Correct? So we're dividing by r factorial. We're dividing by this, whatever we're choosing, 3 options, 5 objects, 6 objects. We're dividing that off because it gets rid of the cases because we don't want cases. Remember? If we take all 3 of these markers and we put them in the backpack, right? There's only one way. So if I did the P formula, that would mean I was actually arranging them, correct? That 3 factorial takes away all the cases and gives you just however many there are if I don't arrange them. That factorial gets rid of all the arranging because you can't arrange. Arranging doesn't matter. Order doesn't matter. So it gets rid of the order. It gets rid of all the cases where order mattered. All right. So in here, I say 10C6 equals 10C4. If you don't believe me, type it in. 10C6, type that in. And 10C4, type that in. Give me answers. Type it in. Don't trust me. Remember? You have to find out for yourself. If you just trust me, you're just blindly going by what I said. C6 gets you what? 120? 210? Wow, I really flipped those numbers around. They were the same numbers, just separately. C, order does matter when it comes to numbers. 210 and 120 are not the same, but they have the same digit. Okay, so we get 210, and we do 10C6, we get 210. Both of them are 210s. Do you agree? How the heck does that work? Well, let's fill it into the formula. This is the formula for C. So N would be 10, and R would be 6. So let's fill it in. So we're going to get 10 factorial over N minus R factorial. So N is 10. 10 minus 6 factorial, and then R factorial, so 6 factorial. Then I'm not typing it in. I'm going to keep simplifying. So in the next step, I get 10 factorial over 10 minus 6, which is 4 factorial, 6 factorial. And I stop. That's simplified, right? I don't need the answer. The answer is 210. You already found it. Could I type this in and get 210? Sure. But I want to prove through actual factorial symbols why these are the same. Because this one would be, I have 10 toys, I choose 6 to put in my bag. Here I have 10 toys, I choose 4 to put in my bag, right? How are they the same answer? Well, let's see. Let's fill in 10C4 now. So now, I would go n factorial divided by n minus r, so 10 minus 4 factorial. And then r factorial, so in this case it's 4 factorial. Now let's simplify it. I get 10 factorial over 6 factorial, 4 factorial. On the left, I have 10 factorial on both sides, right? On the left-hand side, I have 4 factorial times 6 factorial. On the right-hand side, I have 6 factorial times 4 factorial. Are they different? Is 2 times 3 anything different than 3 times 2? So is 6 factorial times 4 factorial any different than 4 factorial times 6 factorial? They're the same answers, right? So, noting that 10C6 is the same as 10C4 because of that difference situation, I want you to tell me, what if I picked 10C3? What would it be the same as 10C what? Yeah, 7. Because it's the difference, right? 10C3 is the same as 10C7 because we're subtracting here, right? This is 10 minus 6. What's 10 minus 6? 4. So that's why 4 works. So this would be 10 minus 3, which would give me a 7 factorial, correct? So it's 7. It's just a common difference. Just the common difference. It only works with C's. It does not work with P's. So if I gave you 23C5, you would tell me that's the same as 23C what? What would it be? 18, because I would just do what? 23 subtract 5, 18. These are the same. The other thing on the formula sheet it says this on your formula sheet. It says NCR equals NR, like this. So they don't have to write it with a C. They could write it in a weird bracket like that. So if I had 25 options and I was choosing 3 options, they could say 25C3. Or they could write it like this on the diploma. 25 and a 3 and brackets like this. There's only one of these for C. There's nothing like that for P. What else could they write in brackets which would actually be true? 25. What? Nope. 22. Because 25C3 is the same as 25C22, right? They can do it trickery with C's. So I'm going to post your assignment. You have to finish that quiz if you haven't finished it, right? We're going through the beginning of class tomorrow, the 5 to 7. And I'm going to post your hand in. Please work on the stuff you can. If you're like, man, I've never seen this before, it's probably because you've never seen it before. Don't try and do that question. Okay? I would get a head start.